Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Brent Harding. Hey there, folks. How is everybody doing this morning? And welcome to Wealth Warriors. Yes, it is Saturday morning and 9 a.m. and I know everybody is up and ready. And what are we ready to talk about? We are ready to talk about you want to be the boss, but and the but is what makes a significant difference. Now, for those that are already the boss, congratulations to you because truly one of the major principles of wealth is about owning our own business for a multiplicity of reasons. Now, I know that I said it was my favorite. And you're saying, but wait a minute, Brent, you said real estate was your favorite. Well, that is true. So they're working hand in hand. How about that? With that being said, welcome again to Wealth Warriors. I am Brent Harding, your host, and I am here at Studio 116 in Boston, Massachusetts. For those that are new to Wealth Warriors, what we are talking about is exactly that. We're talking about wealth, and we're talking about being warriors. Warriors fighting for our family's financial future, our family's finances today, and in the future going forward. And not just the first generation, but generationally, because we all have a responsibility to make our circumstances, situation, finances better for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. Would you not agree? So with that being said, the topic for today is entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? In fact, what's the difference between being self-employed versus entrepreneurship? Well, I've got to tell you, I brought down some of my favorite books for us to talk about today so that we could get some definitions, not just from Brent Harding, because she is a serial entrepreneur, but because there are people out there that we are all learning from. For example, I certainly am learning from Robert Kiyosaki. I'm learning from Brian Carruthers. I'm learning from Jeff Olson. I'm learning from Mark Yarnell. Though he has passed, I am learning from him. And I'm learning from somebody else that has fallen asleep in death, and that's Dan Dennis. And this morning, when I thought about him, I immediately thought about our state representative, Gloria Fox. And she is going to say, Brent, you went as far back as Dan Dennis. And I am going to say, yes, I did. Because he helped me clearly to understand something that not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be wealthy. And so right now, I'll tell you what, I am talking to those of us that want to be financially sound. You know, being financially wealthy is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I'll tell you what, why don't we hashtag I want to be wealthy? That's right. Hashtag I want to be wealthy because you have the right to be wealthy. It's about how we get to the wealth. It's about what we do with the wealth. That's what makes the difference. See, we do not have to be greedy in order to create wealth. We learn from masters on what to do that creates the wealth. And of course, provided it's legal and it's righteous, then guess what? We go ahead and we move forward. So let's get started with one of my favorite books. And that is actually one of my favorite writers when it comes to wealth. And that is Robert Kiyosaki's. Now, this book in particular happens to be one that a lot of people are not familiar with. It was written back in 2001. And what I like about it is this. By the way, you can tell the condition. You can tell that I have read it several times over. Would you not agree? But here's what I want you to see for helping people who like helping people. That's what this one is in particular. And I'm actually going to go to chapter 5, where he talks about quadrants. And most of us are familiar with the quadrants. And he talks about, if you look, you have the EBSI quadrants. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about E, which stands for employee. And so for those of us that are employed, part of what I want you to get out of this is ownership is a couple of things. It's the actual physical ownership. I own a business, but it's also a state of mind and it's a swagger. And if your destination is about ownership, then guess what? You will look at your job as a client, as a customer, and they just happen to have a significant portion of your time temporarily because you are working your way out of that job. And so E stands for employee. Now, they have different values. S stands for self employed or a small business owner. B stands for business owner, and I stands for investor. So I bring those up to you because that's the basis, that's the beginning of where we are going to start. And so what I'm doing is I'm flipping over to a couple of the pages that speak to this. Now, as an employee, the question that you have to ask yourself is, if I want to create wealth, am I going to create wealth through my employment? Well, I suppose if you were the president of American Express or the president of FedEx or something of that nature, then yeah, your job would in fact create wealth. But here's the deal. Take a look at your personal job. Will you become the president of your company? How far will you reach up that corporate ladder? And if presidency is not in line for you, or it's not in line for your timeline for when you want to arrive at wealth, then guess what? I'm going to say that the presidency, then if that's the case, then employment is really not your destination. It is going to serve as a tool to get you where you want to be. Now, again, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. So let me stop, put the book down for just a moment, and let's define what entrepreneurship is versus self-employed. And in fact, he actually does that, but I'm going to jump ahead on it. Being self-employed means exactly that. You've bought a job. Literally, you've bought a job. Why do you say that, Brent? I want you to think about the convenience store. In the convenience store, you own it. You bought it. And I applaud you because you knew enough to say, hey, I want something that's my own. But here's the deal. Generally, with variety stores, you have to be there. You have to be on point. Yes, will you make money for certainty, but at what cost will you make that money? Because you are going to be working. Yeah. And so some will say, oh, no, Brent, I'm not going to. I'm going to hire individuals. Well, I want to tell you, I owned a retail store, a boutique, a secondhand boutique. And you are able to hire people. But here's what you're thinking about often, and I know it because I lived it. I wonder how much money is being siphoned off. And I'm not saying that every employee is going to do that. That's not true. But I found myself, you have to put cameras in. You've got to have a camera that's watching the box. You definitely have to be there to meter out and to count out your money. You have to inventory. You have to be there at the end of the day. You've got to match the sales with what the sales in the inventory and then the cash that's in your pocket. So, or the cash that's in the register. So then you start to think, okay, well, I'm going to put a manager in there. Then you're thinking through trust. So oftentimes it becomes a family environment. It becomes a family store with the anticipation, hope, expectation that the family is going to be righteous and that the money is going to be there. Now, does that happen in all instances? The answer is no. Are there good employees out there that you could hire? The answer is yes. But at the end of the day, the reality is we have purchased a job. And that's what Robert talks about in his book. And that's why you do see those quadrants there, because it's speaking to the effect that you are an employee. And again, nothing wrong with that. If that's your destination, if that's what you're comfortable with, if you're saying, hey, Brent, I want the security of knowing I have a check coming in every single week, then employment is where you want to be at. Now, you have gone from employment. you've gone to self-employed. And self-employed, you do have some freedoms. You do have some time freedoms, and you do have some things that make sense. And if you've got the right circumstances, self-employment can be a good posture or good positioning. It can be a step to getting you there. However, we go from there to a business owner. So, what in fact is the difference between a self-employed and a business owner? I'm going to submit to you that the primary difference is multiple streams of income. I'm going to submit to you that being a business owner means that you are an independent and that you have relationships with other individuals, with other vendors, with other sources that do, in fact, allow you to create the time freedom. That there is some level of relationship with people, or there is some level of relationship with the activity, the action that you do that is going to have a multiple effect, that it is going to create a residual for you so that when you've done something this one time or this two time, that you're not going to have to repeat it, but it's going to create residual monies for you. You know that that I am a professional network marketer. It has created a residual income for me. However, there are other avenues that you can pursue. What we're talking about is ownership in a multiplicity of, for example, you might have a cost center business number one here that brings in revenue. You have a cost center number two, brings in revenue. Cost center number three brings in revenue. So, and it's bringing in perpetual or continuous revenue. See, that's when you have moved from the self-employed to the business owner. So, entrepreneurship is about multiples. It's about having multiple streams of income coming into your household. So if one cost center is working very effectively, but cost center two is on the downside, cost center three is up, it balances out. And at the end of the day, you've got a return on your investment. At the end of the day, you are profitable. Thereby, that becomes ownership. That is true business ownership. That is entrepreneurship. I say I'm a serial entrepreneur because I'm telling you what, I am not employable. I cannot be employed. And that's a swagger. That's an attitude. If in fact you cannot be employed, then I want you to go up to our elusive, exclusive Facebook site, the Wealth Warriors Facebook site, and I want you to get the fingers moving, and I want you to hashtag I am unemployable. If you are employed right now, remember this, it's about the swagger. It's about where you will be. So if you strongly believe that you are an entrepreneur at heart, then you are unemployable. That your employment right now is actually a client or it's a customer and they are getting you to your destination. So let's get the fingers moving. Head up to our elusive exclusive Facebook site, our elusive exclusive Wealth Warrior Facebook site, and I want you to hashtag I am unemployable. Hashtag I am an entrepreneur. And if in fact you are not one right now, then hashtag I am an entrepreneur in the making, because that's exactly what you are, an entrepreneur in the making. Actually, I'm a serial entrepreneur in the making. What is a serial entrepreneur? That means that I am doing a few things, a multiplicity, no, I won't say a multiplicity, because at the end of the day, three things. I think that's about all any one individual can handle. Although, I'll tell you what, once you handle those three, then you are postured and in position so that you actually engage other individuals and they handle some of those businesses for you. And you then are building that empire. Right now, we are defining what it is that we're going to be in entrepreneurship about. You know my passion. My passion is network marketing. That's one cost center. Why is that a passion? And why is that one of the vehicles in that arsenal, that building wealth? Well, one of the reasons why it's in that vehicle is because so many businesses, so many companies and corporations are hiring us back as independent contractors. And they are buying our time. However, they're not paying any more of the freight. So our taxes, we're paying our taxes. Our health insurance, we're paying our health insurance. The amenities, we're paying those. So it begged me to ask the question, maybe I need to now look at that vehicle of entrepreneurship because it's going to allow me that time freedom, or rather the network marketing, because it was going to allow me the time freedom that I was looking for. It was going to create some vehicles that I needed. And on top of everything else, one of the beauties of entrepreneurship and the reason why you would want to own your own business and start to look at that title and look at what it does and look at vehicles is because you want the tax benefit that owning your own business gives you. You see, as that independent contractor that you got hired back by your job and you now became an independent contractor and now you're responsible for your taxes, how are you offsetting those taxes? Powerful question. And so now you're looking at it and you're saying, I could potentially offset my taxes by owning that business and creating a cost center. So whatever it is, whatever it is, please make sure it creates residual for you. Residual, doing something one time and getting paid over and over and over again. That's what we're talking about. The but of this is that folks start to say, well, I don't know anything about owning my own business. I know that I should write a business plan. I know I should do this. I know I should do that, but I don't know where to begin. I'm going to share with you, where is the beginning? The beginning is the read. This is one of the books that I enjoy the most. And I've got to share something with you. Leaders are readers. Owners are readers. And I used to say, why do I have to read? Because you need to stay current. You have to read so that you know what kind of ownership you want. You have to read so that you know where the industry is going, where ownership is going. You need to know how to stay on top of what Congress is doing relative to small business. So you want to be in that state of reading, and you want something called the edge. In fact, this is Jeff Olson's read, and it is The Slight Edge. What is it talking about? It's talking about turning simple disciplines into massive success. So you want to stay on top of the game with the slight edge. I like it tremendously. In fact, I'll read something that it was said about this. It says the slight edge makes you aware of the unwritten rules that we all live by, and we just weren't aware of them. He says that Jeff explains these principles in an easy to understand manner that will have you reevaluating the insignificant decisions you make every day. Excellent read. It gives you the edge in your business. I am moving at a fast pace, and you're saying, Brent, you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here. You're absolutely right. One, I'm very excited. Two, I want to make sure that we get everything in. Three, I want to give you a voice to speak. So let me hit you with two other books that I have that are in my arsenal. One is The Ultimate Guide to Network Marketing, which I like very, very much. This one I like, called Building an Empire. Now, it's by Brian Carruthers, and it is a read that I am going back and reading a couple times over. And the reason why that one in particular struck me was that he talks about the value of your time, and he speaks about a principle that says that you really could be working a business 5 hours a week. What? 5 hours a week? What are you talking about, Brent? How could you possibly do that? Well, I'll tell you how. If you join forces with other individuals that are working 5 hours a week, all those hours contribute to your business. And when I read that, man, he had my full attention. From that point on, I was on it. And the reason that it's powerful here is that if you look at the very bottom right here, he says that he has put together a blueprint for us. And that saves us time. And when it saves us time, ultimately, it saves us money. So let me bring us forward. What have we been talking about for the last 20 minutes? We have been talking about entrepreneurship. We have been talking about owning our own. We have been talking about taking in and getting the mental swagger of ownership because this country, this foundation was built on people that wanted their own piece of the pie. They wanted freedom. They wanted the right to take control of their environment. And one of the best ways to take control is when you own. When you own a business, when you own another way to bring revenue into your house, it makes a difference in your attitude. It makes a difference in your swagger. It means that you control something. And I'll tell you what, the money that you bring in becomes the measure of what you are capable of. If you are bringing in the tall dollars, it speaks volumes. Your check, your monies that you make actually speak to a certain value of you. So if you don't like what you're making, then guess what? Change it up. If you do not like what you're making, then let's figure out how we can make more. And we said we had 12 pillars, 12 principles, 12 keys that will create wealth. And one of the keys is ownership. Because when you actually own a business, you then have the right to make adjustments in your taxes, and that gives you more money. So let's create some definitions here and let's hashtag about this. First thing, you do want to be an entrepreneur. Why? Because entrepreneurship represents the fact that you are making money from different revenue streams. And I shared this morning a gentleman's name that I knew years ago, Dan Dennis. And I remember sharing with him the difference between self-employed and being an entrepreneur. And Dan said to me, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I just want to be self-employed. I just want to have this amount of money and I'm happy. Okay, self-employed, one directional. I am getting that from one source. And I have purchased a job. So Dan didn't work for an accounting firm. He owned the accounting firm and he was there every day working that business. Now, he had the temerity, though, to grow it and to pass it on to the next generation. And the next generation saw things a little bit differently. But again, he bought the job. He worked at the job. He was satisfied with what he made. And I appreciated him because he is one of my heroes. He is on my hero list. Why? Because he helped me to understand I wanted entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, money coming from various sources. So I have a cost center. That is the title to this particular area in which money is being made from. I literally have a whiteboard up in my office and it lists the cost centers one by one at a time. So that is the first cost center. It brings in revenue. So get comfortable with that word. And it's so interesting because when you do say cost center, sometimes people look at you and go, what is that person talking about? That is one division. That is one category. That is one of your revenue streams is cost center number one. Cost center number two, where is that money going to be coming from? Cost center number three, where is that money going to be coming from? So entrepreneurship is about multiple areas where your money is coming from. It is multiple areas where your funds are coming from. And that is truly, truly exciting. So I want everybody to go up to the exclusive Facebook site, and I want you to start putting the fingers there. I want you to start typing out, tell us about you, your name. Tell us where you're viewing the broadcast from, what city you live in, and then tell us about what you do. Are you an entrepreneur at this very moment? Is that what you do? And if it is, hey, give us your 30 seconds. Tell us who you are, what you're doing, because we want to do business with the family. And we may be interested in collaborating with you. So I want you to go up right now and I want you to stop putting the keys, the fingers to the keys, and tell us who you are, what you do, where we can collaborate with you, because this may be your cost center number 2. Now, we talked about one of my favorite writers, why he's written several books. He is a self-made person, and that, of course, is none other than Robert Kiyosaki. And in this book, we talked about the quadrants that he discusses. We talked about employment. We talked about we talked about self-employed. We talked about the business owner. Now what I want to do is I want to talk to you about one other area, and that is the investor. Did I hold this up long enough? I hope so. And that is when you have those revenues coming in, you reach the higher level in the quadrant, and that is you are now an investor. You have money that you can invest in other activities. You can invest in the real estate. You can invest in stock. You can invest in tangibles such as art, tangibles such as jewelry. Those are other vehicles for dollars and cents. Take a look at the gold that you have, the jewelry that you bought years ago, the 14%, the 18% gold, 18 karat rather, a 14 karat. Look at the value of those items now. That was a good investment because it can be turned into the almighty cash when we need it. Is that not powerful? So the quadrants that I speak about, and in a matter of speaking, I live by those. I personally have gone from entrepreneurship to that self-employment. Business owner is where I am at now with the destination of becoming an investor. How about you? Where are you at in those quadrants? What are the favorite books that you are reading right now? I shared 4 of them with you. What are the books that you're reading right now? The last one I will share with you is The Magic of Compound Funding and Compound Recruiting. That's one of my other books. One of the things I had the opportunity to participate or attend a boot camp, and the person that was running the boot camp said he read 5 books. He said, and I keep reading those books. And I thought, wow, that's really kind of interesting. There are a multiplicity of books out there. He said, well, I'll tell you, there are, but there are some of those that as we mature, we see something different. We read those books and they stand out and they become different to us. One of the other favorites that I like, many of us read, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We don't need to read a lot of them, but we need to have some of the classics because those classics still come forward. So what's in your library? Let us know, periodically as that book comes to mind, let us know what you are reading. So with that said, let's move forward and delve deeper into the benefits of entrepreneurship. And what we're doing is we're going to talk about the benefits with the perspective that it will offset the but, because the but gets into the way. Here are some of the benefits of being that entrepreneur. The benefit is in your whole demeanor. It is in your thought process. It is about the swagger because you have something that's mighty, something that you can in fact grow. It offsets fear because fear is something that is phenomenal. Fear keeps us in our jobs when we have said, we don't want to be there. Fear has made us sit at our chair rocking back and forth because we need to go to the bathroom, but we can't get off the assembly line, or we need to go to the bathroom, but we have to ask permission because somebody has to sit in our seat while we go to the bathroom. Fear is something that will hold you up from taking the plunge. Now, I'm going to say this. Let's not be stupid about the plunge. Let's plan it out. However, let's not get analysis paralysis in the process. The destination, the dream board, is about owning our own. And so the benefit of owning our own is that it's another revenue stream that's coming into our household. The benefit is that we can grow it up, and then we have a choice. You know, Jim Rohn stayed in his job for years long after he could have left. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but the long and the short is he said, I keep my job because it allows me to tell the story. And here's the story. I work at this job so that I can grow my empire. I work at this job so that I can grow my empire. And that's what he did. And he eventually reached a point where he had to leave the job. The story, while it was compelling, the growth was so monumental that he had now a monumental story to share with us. And as a result of that, I know that it can perpetuate us. So you work, if that's what you've got, but you build that empire. And you build that empire on a solid foundation. Figure out one of two things. Either it's something that you like to do, or it is something that will pay. It is something that people will pay for. For example, you might like health and wellness, or you may not like health and wellness, but you do know that we are in an age where people want to be healthy, and they want the elixirs, they want the vitamins, they want the products that are going to allow them to live a better life, a healthier life. If in fact that is something that you like and you know that there is a market for that, then fine. Let that be the vehicle that you build your wealth on. If in fact you like something else, you like some other facet, whatever it is, well, let's say it's not something that you particularly like, but you do know there is an audience for it, then yes, that is a business that you want to give more than the usual attention to. And you want to say, I'm in this, and be clear about why you're in this. I'm in this because there's an audience that wants it, and I'm willing to take the plunge. I'm willing to put my money on the line to create that. You know, there are many an opportunity out there that you can be in business literally for less than $500, that you can own a piece of the rock, and it gives you the right to have that business card. It gives you the right to have that deduction on your taxes, because ownership is also about saving you money. Suppose you don't have the real estate yet. What else do you have that you are going to be able to use a tax deduction, that you're going to be able to use as a tax deduction? Ownership. Owning your own piece of the rock. Many of us start with something small, which is why, ergo, network marketing becomes one of the favored choices, because it's something that I can do, something that you can do for less than $500. It is something that you can attract other associates while they're working their business, you're working your business collectively. It's an intradependent group, and it allows you to move forward. You know, one of the other interesting things about having that collective body of individuals, regardless of what the business model you use is you also create the camaraderie. You create an investment group, a group of individuals that at some point you bring them together and you say, hey, I have got something here that you all may want to be involved in. For example, you remember I shared with you that we are going to be announcing very shortly that we have a boot camp and we have a real estate investment group. We might join forces with a couple of others out there that are investment groups, and we are going to purchase something. And You may stay in the game. Whatever it may be real estate, it may be a mall, it may be that we want to invest in gold, or we want to invest in art, or we want to invest in something else that's tangible. Well, these folks that you've been in business before, you've been in business with, wouldn't it make sense that you might consider them and say, hey, there's a deal on the table. Are you interested? In fact, that just happened to me this past week. And something came up, a conversation was started, and guess what? I am now bringing people together, and we are taking ownership in some form of fashion. We have an equity position in something. We don't need to own the whole thing. How about an equity position in it? That's the language of entrepreneurship. Does it make sense for us? You bet it does. So find something. If you cannot find something, then contact me. 617-438-7949. And let's figure out what we can collaborate on. Send me an email, Brent Harding 617@gmail.com. Let's talk about what it is that you might be interested in. And either one of a couple of things happens. Either I can point you in the direction, give you a contact so that you are able to work out your passion. See, we are about the business of being resources for each other as well. We are giving because you know what it's often said, you've got to give to get. You got to give to get. And so this is a platform in which all of us want to create wealth, and we are giving to each other. Our mission over the next 60 months, 100,000 people will be wealthy. We will have cash wealth. We will have equity wealth. We will have real estate wealth. We will have net worth. That's not what we aspire to. That is a mission. How about that? So we're at the point where we want to still let people know, come on in, hear what we have to say, because what we have to say is important. What we have to say is worthy. And so I'm asking you, go on up to the Facebook site, to the Elusive Exclusive Wealth Warriors Facebook site. Tell us you are all in. Invite your friends in. The conversation isn't over yet. Invite them in to the conversation. Go up and to Twitter and tweet out, I am a first generation wealth baby. Let them know you are a part of Wealth Warriors. Invite them into the conversation because the conversation is about wealth and we ain't scared. The conversation is about wealth and we ain't scared. We have determined, we have made a destination, and the destination is wealth. We've gone from being employees and an employee mentality to ownership, to being a small business owner. Maybe we need to make the stop at being a small business owner because we need to have the feel for it. Or maybe we're going to bypass that and head right on up to the third quadrant called business owner. And business owner is about relationships. Business owner is about collaborations. Business owner is about entrepreneurship. It is about bring in revenue streams. That's what it's about. It is about the plan. Do you know a really good business plan is only 5 pages? And that includes the financials. What are you talking about, Brent? It really is. You can cull down anything to about 5 pages. And it is about the management team. Who's on the management team? It's about how we're going to take it to market. What are the sales? It is about it's about the sales force. It is about the market. So when we look at it, it's management, it's market, it's sales force, it's financials. The executive summary tells the story. The executive summary, 1 page, tells the entire story. So when you are looking at that business plan, we do not need elaborate. Now, we've got the resource of the business plan. So here's the business plan. Here's the backup. You want to know more about that? We go to these things. You've got a development project. You've got the summary. You've got the plan here. And then you've got all the resource and detail over there. So when you're looking at that and you're saying, can I get into this now? Now, there is no time like now to create ownership. Now, with that being said, the reason, again, one more time on the books, this one for people who like helping people. Every book that I've shared with you, whether you are whether the business model is network marketing, or the business model is collaborative, or the business model is partnerships, or the business model, whatever that business model is, these books that I shared with you today, you can pull out, you can extrapolate information that fits into where it is you want your business to go. Robert Kiyosaki, one book. Brian Carruthers. Now, while this is dedicated primarily to network marketing, there are components in here that are absolutely phenomenal, that really it speaks to your swag. It speaks to how you harness your power and turn it into a business. It speaks to how do you motivate and move the organization that you're creating forward. It speaks to the fact that you've got to mentally be in the game, and we call it a game because it's because we're not taking it so seriously that it consumes us and we do not move forward. It consumes us because we are creating something for generation after generation after generation. One more time down the slight edge path. And again, because entrepreneurship really is about having just enough edge to take you out of the zone of fear and to propel you, to give you trajectory, to transform us into our greater selves. And I know that might sound a little bit ethereal, but it's not meant to sound ethereal. It's meant to get the butt out of the way. During this remainder of this month, I'm going to be bringing on entrepreneurs, people that are focused in, that are honed in to give you better definition. Right now, I wanted to give you the entree point, but we have a young lady that's going to be with us next week that is going to just put the cap on it for you. She is going to put the cap on what entrepreneurship is about. I want to take a few minutes out today to share with you that I am looking for a few things. I'm looking for a couple of co-hosts, and I figured there's no greater place to look than the family. If you would like to be a co-host with me on the Wealth Warriors, I want you to email me at brentharding617@gmail.com. I'm looking for probably 3 hosts so that we are here. You're not having to take up all of your Saturdays. But if you like sharing, if you like conversation, if you like talking, if you are willing to do some of the research in the books, in the various books that we're talking about today. Oops, whoops, almost dropped it. If you are willing to do a little bit of research on topics as we're going forth, then guess what? I really would like to have you with me on the show. So I'm looking for 4 individuals that I can sit down either face to face, or we can meet by Skype and have a conversation about where we want to take this show. If you are an expert in a particular field of endeavor that would contribute to this conversation, then I'd like you to go ahead and again email me and let me know, hey, Brent, I've got some expertise and I'd like to bring it to the Wealth Warriors. That would be something awesome, and I'd like for you to do that. If you are a public figure and you are a proponent of entrepreneurship, you are a proponent of our communities creating wealth, of keeping the dollars in the communities in which we live in so that our communities grow. We raise the value of our properties. We raise the value of our real estate. We pass on to generation. If that is you, I'd like to give you a platform to discuss that with us. We are the Wealth Warriors, and we are a generous group of individuals. We are creating wealth for our families. We are creating wealth for generation after generation after generation. We are first generation wealth babies. That's what we are. We're going to have other shows for those that are already there, that are climbing to a higher platform. But right now, we're dealing with first generation because we've got to start somewhere. And somewhere is here, somewhere is now. And so, with that being said, I am putting that out, putting the notice out. If it's not you, who do you know that wants to contribute to the conversation? Who do you know that wants to be a part of helping others? We want to help each other because you know what? If you think about it, it's like the ants that have to go over to the other side. They make themselves a bridge and they bring each other to the other side. It's the crabs in the barrel. Guess what? We don't have to be. We can get out of the barrel. We're just helping each other because at the end of the day, there are billions of people around the world. So guess what? In our lifetime, we are never going to touch everybody. In our lifetime, there's enough out there for all of us. It's called commerce. And that's our destination. Thus far, we have talked about credit. We have talked about real estate. We have talked about the product of network marketing. We are now here talking about owning. You know, when you apply for credit, when you apply for a mortgage and you own something and you've owned that for 24 months, not only does that money that you've earned, can that be applicable to qualifying you for that mortgage, but it creates the stature of who you are. It speaks volumes. It adds to your sophistication, if you will. And the picture looks brighter because it also says it speaks to commitment and it speaks to the fact that you understand money even better. You understand how that works. You have a clue because you own something and it creates phenomenal balance. It says that you're not relying on just one source of revenue. You have multiplicity. You are creating multiplicities of sources. So you may not declare all those because they may not all need to be on that application, but they are there so that you are able to substantiate that I qualify for whatever it is that I'm looking for. That is powerful. That is the difference. So you want to get that swagger on. Hashtag entrepreneurial swagger, because that's what you want to be. You want to be swagging. You want that walk, that sense of confidence. Not only the sense, you want to own it because you are confident, because you are not relying on just one source to pay those bills. You know, when I do speaking engagements, I will ask the audience, how many bills do you have? Do you have one bill, 2, 3, 4? Anybody got more than 5 bills? If you have more than 5 bills, why is it that you only have one source of income? 5-to-1 ratio? What's the probability that you are going to create lifestyle? Because money is the tool that creates the lifestyle. Swagger, confidence is the attitude that says you deserve it. Does your dream board have money on it? Does your dream board speak to wealth? And it's not just the cash wealth. It's the emotional wealth. It's the spiritual wealth. It is the physical wealth. Are all of those in balance? When they are, lifestyle, then we're ready to move to the I. When those are in balance, then we have reached the zenith, the fourth quadrant, because we're an investor. We're invested in all aspects of our lives, and we're able to live. We hold ourselves higher. And I know it sounds a little preachy right now, but it is to help us to accept and recognize we deserve the wealth. When we convene again next week, I'm going to bring on the experts. So see, we start with the intro, and then I'm going to bring on the experts to round out the rest of this month on entrepreneurship. What are the definitions? How do we create it? How do we get it in more depth? I want you to have that notebook. In fact, you ought to have your notebook that you're keeping all of your notes in about every nugget that you get, because there are nuggets in here. If you got nothing else out of this morning, then the nugget you should have gotten is that you need to read. The nugget you should have gotten is blueprint, hashtag blueprint, because you have to have the blueprint that's going to get you there. You want to build the skyscraper? What do they ask for? They ask for the blueprint. We need to see what it is that we're doing. That's powerful. I am so enthusiastic about creating the wealth. I am so excited that come next April 2016, we are going to be massive. I am looking for us to convene at a conference that is a Wealth Warrior conference. We are stepping up our game. Come October, we are going to have a real estate investment club. I hope that you are setting aside the money. Minimum, you've got to have at least $1,500 to play in the game. And we're talking about your class. We're talking about having money. You got to have a comma check. Comma checks is what is necessary, because real estate costs commas. So you still have some time. You've got August, September. We're in the game in October. You want to play in the game? You got to get to the comma check. You want to play in the game? You got to speed up the process. I am so happy for all of us that are willing to say, I want to be wealthy. Hashtag, I want to be wealthy. I'm so happy for all of us that are saying, I want to provide for the next generation. So here's the deal. Next week, be ready, on point, notebook in hand. We're going to have an awesome young lady that's going to be with us. She, in fact, is going to be talking about entrepreneurship. She is going to raise the bar for you. And I want you to start thinking about, if you don't own something yet, what do I want to own a business in? And with that being said, we're going to wrap it up a little bit early today. I want to give you a chance to get out and feel the sunshine. It's still summertime. We want to take advantage of that. But we want you to be back here next week, right on point, ready for entrepreneurship. The month of July is about be entrepreneur. My name is Brent Harding. I am a serial entrepreneur. I am the host of Wealth Warriors. We will see you back here again come next week. Go out and be amazing. Bye now.